Hiya, and welcome back to Sileo Tales of a New Dawn. The game that teaches you if you want to celebrate your friend's success, you take them to gay Hooters. Anyways, I can't think of much to say, so let's just jump right in. I'll bring up a censorship window because I don't know how this shit's going to go down. The morning began with... Oh god, that's loud. The morning began with a demand for breakfast burgers, a task which both Diego and I collaborated on in order to fulfill. This morning's breakfast burgers were a little more elaborate than normal, with Diego having purchased brioche buns and Swiss cheese in order to give our meals an upgrade. In addition, the morning's ingredients contained a sausage patty, an egg, streaky bacon, and hash browns, topped with smoky barbecue sauce. To say they were full to bursting was something of an understatement. Neither of us had managed to reach the couch before our towers of toppings had collapsed, spilling their contents all over our plates. Ah, crap. Might have overfilled them a bit. Gee, you really think so? Let me get back. I know, you said this was going to happen, but do you remember what I said? They're going to be the most delicious breakfast burgers we've ever had. Right, and once we prove it, we can sell the recipe to Ty, we'll make millions. Somehow, I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, probably not. Our culinary excellence will have to remain secret then. Anyways, what are you waiting for? Take a bite! I began reassembling my collapsed burger with my hands, resulting in barbecue sauce coating the fur atop my fingers. Diego was prepared for this possibility, handing me a napkin to wipe them clean. I picked up my burger, now somewhat resembling a burger once again, carefully with both hands and took my first bite, some of the contents spilling out the back onto my plate. Despite the total mess, Diego was right. This was delicious. Well, this is one tasty mess. What'd I tell ya? Diego picked up his sloppily reassembled burger and took a bite. Foolishly, he didn't put the plate on his lap as I had, filling spilling directly onto his crotch. Neat. No way, dude. These fillings are mine. Returning his burger to his plate, Diego then reached out and picked up the displaced toppings, plopping each into his mouth with a hearty grin. Real classy. So what time has Ty got you starting today? In an hour or so. He only needs me for a few hours today, so I won't be gone for too long. Gives me a few hours to prepare myself for tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it, like a hole in my head. Can't even begin to imagine, although I'm sure you'd enjoy giving him a few smacks after everything he put you through. I would, but it's him smacking me that I'm worried about. Losing to him would suck big time. Who's to say you will? You've done pretty well so far. You've made it to the finals after all. That's gotta be saying something. I think I've gotten awfully lucky. I don't think I'm as good as being in the finals would suggest. What are you talking about? Well, Russell in the heats. No offense to him, but it was the heats. He wasn't all that tough. I only beat Jay by taking a beating and having him exhaust myself. It's hard to feel as though I won fair and square there, although I technically did. And Logan, come on, we both know I should have been out of the tournament there. He was 10 times the fighter I was. I just got really lucky. Somehow, I don't feel like I've won a fair fight yet. The rules are, it's not how you win, it's that you win. And you won! With tricks and luck, not with raw skill. And what? Do you think that somehow invalidates your victories? It isn't all about brawn, Diego. If you can outsmart your opponent and win that way, you've still won fair and square. I know you're right, but I don't know. I don't feel like I've earned anything. I know you're just saying that's wrong. I know you're just going to say that's wrong, but I can't help but feel that way. You're being way too hard on yourself. Think about the guys you've beaten. If they didn't think you earned it, why would all three wind up becoming your friend? Yeah, even Logan just sort of brushed his loss off, even though it was totally unfair on him. I hate to say that I wouldn't have taken it so gracefully in his shoes. Why not think of it this way? Kyrix will be your opportunity to earn that victory. You know he's tough. You're going to have to give it everything you've got if you want to win. And that doesn't just mean physically, mentally as well. If you focus too much on your definition of fighting fair, you'll take advantage of that and you'll lose. You've gone a long way with those smarts. Don't you dare hold them back in the most important fight of the tournament. Thanks, Aiden. I know you're right. And I know Kyrex isn't going to give an inch either. I can't keep second-guessing myself, and I can't hesitate when the time comes. I guess those victories have been weighing on my conscience a bit. Hiya! Don't worry about being late. Not much has happened. I'll fill you in real quick. Diego spilled toppings of an oversized breakfast burger onto his crotch, and proceeded to pick them up and eat them with his bare hands, because that's normal, I guess. I don't know, I do shit like that all the time, not gonna lie. I swear to God I do. And now they're talking about how Diego should be perfectly fine with the fact that he's winning. I don't like fighting like that, it feels wrong to me, but you're right. It's a problem with my perspective, and one Kyrex could use against me. Everyone has your back, Diego. Your friends, your former opponents, me, we're all rooting for you. We know you can do this. I'm lucky to have so much support. It's still a little strange to me that everybody I've beaten so far has been cool with it. All my opponents have been such good people. I mean, so far. That's about to change. I still don't want to fight him. I don't even want to see him, but it's like I said, he ruined almost a year of my life. He's not getting one single day more. Perhaps beating him will be the closure you need? Maybe. It's not like I need it, though. That shit is all in the past now. Ty seems to disagree. Ty can think what he likes. Doesn't make him right. I know Kyrex better than he does, and I know Kyrex ain't the type to give a shit about closure. And I'm just checking something on my phone. Checking the day job schedule. Okay. As for me, I just want it buried and forgotten. I think everyone is better off that way. I'm sick of being hurt over it. Sick of the whole morning glut. Once this fight is over and done with, I'm free to move on. Forget about all of it. I respect that. I don't honestly have an opinion. Kyrex seems different, but it's like you said. That could just be part of a plan. Who knows what that asshole is up to. I'll support whatever decision you make. It's not for me to decide, or Ty for that matter. I appreciate that. And again, I'm sorry that you got dragged into all of this. Shit, fuck. I took the final bite of my now decimated breakfast burger before wiping my face with a napkin and checking the time on my phone. It was time to go. Sorry to cut this short, duty calls. I know how it is. If anything happens with Ty, let me know, yeah? I promise. You know I'm done with secrets. Thanks. Have a good shift. I'll be here when you get back. See you then. I stood up and brushed the crumbs from my shirt before grabbing my belongings and leaving the house en route to Ty's bar. My arrival at the bar was a spitting image of so many other days. I threw my belongings beneath the counter and approached Russell, who was sat behind the register awaiting customers. Sup, dude? How's it hanging, man? Oh, you know, same shit, different day. Oh, tell me about it. Such is life, my dude. At least you're getting paychecks, right? Too true. Where'd you guys end up going last night? An adult club. Whoa, sounds like I missed out. Who would have thought that dragon was such a hornball? I guess I could kind of see it coming. He's a total flirt at the cafe, too. Cafe? Yeah, some new place that's opened up a few blocks away. Serves pretty amazing food. He's a waiter there, good at his job, but rather intense. Fighters come in all shapes and sizes, I guess. How's the training for Diego's final match coming along? I assume he's training, right? Oh, there's a bunch of bags surrounding me. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing. Probably needs to get his head in the right place for the match to come. Right. He's fighting his ex, huh? Yup. He's gonna go through with it. That seems to be the case. He doesn't want to back down. Man, you gotta applaud that dedication. That's totally hardcore, man. I think he's gonna rough him up a bit, that's for sure. Ty's closed the bar for the day tomorrow, so we'll both be cheering him on. I reckon it's gonna be real exciting. Oh, speaking of which, where is Ty? In the kitchen? Oh, that's right. You're on kitchen. I'm pulling double duties and making the drinks. Huh? Ty's not here? He's here. He's just busy. Some guy came in earlier wanting to talk to him. Seemed kind of important. Some guy. Wasn't a raven, was it? Nope. Some lizard guy. He's been around a lot recently. Come to think of it, I'm sure I've seen him somewhere else before. That's right. He was that guy you were sitting with yesterday at the tournament. What? Aw, fuck. I looked around the room in an attempt to confirm Kyrex is present. First I saw nothing, but then a sight of a stripy tail poking out from behind a corner caught my eye. Walking sideways to get a better look, Kyrex soon came into view, sitting opposite Ty at a distant table. He looked tired and defeated. Who is that guy? That's Diego's ex. Oh, sorry dude, I didn't know. What are you even apologizing for? It's fine. I don't suppose you've overheard anything, have you? Sorry, I wasn't listening. Didn't know it was important, dude. So, hold on. What's going on here? Why is Ty been talking to Diego's ex? Remember what I said about Ty meddling in other people's business? Oh, but they're broken up, right? What is Ty trying to do? He wants them to talk. There's some bad blood between them. Ty wants them to find some closure. Last I checked, Diego didn't want closure. Exactly. And somehow I doubt Kyrix does either, but that's not stopping Ty from trying. Jeez. Was that what you two fought about the other day? More that he was dragging me into it, trying to get me to convince Diego. I refused. I don't blame you, dude. Yeesh. Oh. Huh? You're getting up. True enough, Kyrix and Ty had stood up. In a weird, unexpected move, Ty held out his hand, and after a brief pause of uncertainty, Kyrix shook it. Kyrix said something, although I couldn't make out what. The same going for Ty's response before Kyrix made a beeline for the door and Ty for the counter. Quick, act natural. Ah, Aiden! I apologize for not having been available to greet you in person. Thank you for coming in. I tell you, it will be most wonderful when Diego can return to work. It has been difficult without him. Is Kyrix the reason you called me in? Ah, yes. I do apologize. I was not expecting a visit from him today. Oh? Indeed, I felt that the two of us had already discussed what needed to be discussed. Imagine my surprise when he visited unannounced. It would seem he has grown to trust me. What did you talk about exactly? I cannot go into detail, as you know, and I apologize for that. It would seem Kyrix had a few final concerns he wished to address. That being said, I have some wonderful news. What's that? Kyrix has agreed to meet with Diego. What, seriously? Indeed, I am as surprised as you are. But you know Diego isn't on board, right? I know, and I will not press the issue, although I expect you will tell him that Kyrix has agreed. Of course I was going to tell Diego, but with Ty having asked, it felt as though I was playing right into his hands. I sighed. It's not as though I was working against Ty here. Telling Diego was exactly the right thing to do, and it worked for everyone involved. I still had something of an issue with it, though. Yeah, I'll tell him, but not for you, for him. Of course, I expected no less. I would want Diego to know. However, what decision he makes is entirely his responsibility. For now, my part in this is over. I will not interfere. I appreciate that. I'll be letting him decide that on his own, too. I hope you don't expect me to encourage him. I do not, no. Good. There was clearly still some tension between Ty and myself, although I did appreciate his decision to step back, although I was still curious as to why Kyrix would agree. You're good at reading people, right? I like to think so, yes. Then what do you think? Do you think Kyrix is being honest? Is this some sort of plot on his end, or do you think he genuinely wants closure? It would be unfair for me to say he made the decision alone. I did strongly encourage it. I would say this is more of a concession on his part than a genuine desire. That being said, I have no reason to believe he is planning anything. He has given me his word. That should the situation come to be, he would be civil and constructive. And I know from our conversations that he has been hurting too. He wants answers much like Diego must do, only Kyrix has committed to seeking them. Kyrix doesn't seem the hurting type. There is more to Kyrix than Diego's story would have you believe. He, like Diego, like you and I, is a person, replete with emotions, desires, and flaws. He is by no means innocent, but can any of us truly claim to be? We have all made mistakes after all. What matters is he is wanting to put things right. Alright, I believe you. If I'm honest, I've had my own doubts. We spoke yesterday and he was incredibly civil. Hell, he even opened up a little. So what you're saying sort of confirms what I've suspected. Problem is, Diego has his own perspective of Kyrix, and I can't blame him either. Which is why I'm hoping he will permit Kyrix himself to alter that perception. I didn't know how I felt about any of this, nor did I know how Diego would react. I didn't necessarily trust Kyrix, but at the end of the day, that didn't matter. It was Diego's decision to make. I'd tell him what I knew and support him how I could. What happened from there was out of my hands. Before I knew it... Hang on, the dogs are freaking out. I'll go check on them. And I'm back. Yeah, the dogs were freaking out. Before I knew it, my short shift had come to an end. Russell and I both finished at the same time, and he'd taken to counting the minutes as our finishing time drew near. Yes! I love finishing during the daytime. Still got like half the day ahead. He is definitely the glasses half full type guy. Got anything planned? No, not really. What's up? We could totally, like, hang if you wanted to. Sure, that sounds good. Ooh, how about that cafe? The one Jay works at? Yeah, you said the food was totally awesome, right? I did say something like that. Let's check it out, my dude. I could use a bite to eat. Are you sure you're not just going for the flirty waiter? Why not both? Dragons are your type, huh? Alright, let's go. We both grabbed our things and got changed in the bar restrooms before departing in the direction of the cafe. Entering the cafe, the two of us seated ourselves by the windows, soon to be greeted by a certain flirtatious dragon. Ah, if it isn't my favorite husky, and with new handsome company no less. Say, you were at the fight yesterday, were you not, my friend? That's right, my dude. This is the nice place you have here. Isn't it just? We do aim to please. I sat down opposite Russell and surveyed the menu. I decided to order a sandwich, well with it being lunch and all. Russell ordered the omelet, a strange choice for a late afternoon lunch, but I decided against pointing that out. Russell, getting anything to drink? Yeah, I think so. I've got a craving for a cider. Right, let's put the cafe's drinks to the test. I hate to disappoint such a handsome man, but I regret to inform you we only serve bottles. Surely a far cry from the bar you work at. Sometimes all you need is a sandwich and a cider. Thai is particularly elaborate. I do hear good things about Thais. Perhaps I should swing by for dinner one of these days. We'd love to have you. Anyway, I'll grab a cider too. There's nothing better on a sunny day such as this. I'll place your orders and grab your drinks. Back in a flash. Jay skipped off in the direction of the counter. Jeez, he sure is something, man. Didn't I tell you? He's alright though. Impressive in a fight too. Too bad he exhausted himself with all those twirls and flips. He played right into Diego's strategy. Yeah, Diego is mighty clever, dude. I could never guess what he was going to do when I fought him. Anyway, it strikes me I see you almost every day now, yet I don't really know much about you. I'm like an open book, dude. What do you want to know? You moved here from Somerville, right? And you're friends with Axel then? That's right. We kind of grew up together. He was the awkward, quiet kid in the class. Big, goofy glasses and everything. When we were, like, really young, like 5 or 6, we butted heads a little. I was kind of a crazy kid. But a few years later, we figured out we were both super into the same collectible cards. We kind of bonded over that a bit. Aw, that's sweet. We were both, like, big into swimming as well. We competed a whole heap from year to year. We stayed pretty close right until he moved away. Then you fell out of contact, right? Yeah. He tells me he lost his phone, contacts and all. He tried to get in touch. He even visited my parents' house one day when he was visiting Somerville. Nobody was home and he didn't think to leave a note or anything. Ah, well, dude. All is well that ends well, right? True enough. But yeah, I don't think there's anything much to say other than that, really. Dom was worried you had the hots for Axel or something a while back. Did you ever feel that way? Nah, it's kind of like we built our friendship before we even had those sort of thoughts. It's like I couldn't see him any other way. And he's the same. It'd be kind of weird to change up our dynamic after so long. That's fair. What about you and Diego? You met at university, right? Yeah, he was in his second year. They'd overbooked the dorm, so I got moved in with him by chance. Not something that would happen usually, though. Worked out pretty well, though. Way I hear it, you guys were totally pining after one another for the entire time. Yep, and neither of us had the courage to do anything about it. Bet you're glad things are different now. We both are. It took us way too long, and we almost lost one another completely. You don't regret moving all this way for him? Not one bit. I took a big risk. I'm really lucky everything panned out. Tell me, do you still swim? Not like seriously or anything, just for fun. Once Axel started swimming way back when he overtook me in no time. Who'd have thought the cat could outswim the shark? I know. I'm totally like the laughingstock of my species, dude. Nah, Axel is just that good. Was always better at me in cards, too. He's one talented little dude. Anyway, Kyrix is like the returning champ in the tournament, right? Yeah, I think he said something like that. That's going to be one hell of a fight, dude. With their history, man. And supposedly Kyrix wants to talk to Diego now, too. That only makes things more complicated. I heard, what do you think he should do? Yeah, I don't know. Diego hates Kyrix, like, really hates him. And it seems as though Kyrix felt the same way. That is until he started talking to Ty. You think he's, like, softened up or something? I don't know. He's been okay with me. I keep thinking maybe he's not so bad, but then I remember all the stuff Diego said about him. Here we are, gentlemen. 2 ciders. Your meal shouldn't be too far off. Hey, what's with the sullen faces? Complicated conversation topic. Need some outside counsel? Don't you have work to do? Do you see any other customers? I guess not. Alright, another opinion might be helpful. Jay sat down with us at the table, and I took the time to get him up to speed. I see. That is something of a pickle. You can totally say that again, dude. What do you think, handsome Sharky man? Honestly, I think Diego has the right idea. It's in the past, right? It's better to just forget about it and move on. Especially considering how, like, crazy complicated the whole thing is. And if Kyrix is as volatile as Diego seems to think. But Aiden did say he didn't seem that way recently. And relationships are crazy. I know from experience. Oh? I had something of a bad relationship myself a while back. Bad vibes all around. I came out of it angry, hating the guy I was with. He had his issues, I had mine, and between us, we just couldn't overcome them. It was like we were in constant competition with each other. And not the healthy kind either. He was putting me down, I was putting him down, and we were both completely miserable. We held on for too long and it ended poorly. It's like I said, I hated his guts at first. But in time, I realized these things aren't so black and white. He felt the same way I did all along. I was no bad guy, just 2 people with incompatibilities and flaws. We couldn't see eye to eye and we couldn't make it work. Maybe I'm biased from my own experience. I don't know Diego well enough to say anything for sure, and I don't know Kyrix at all. But maybe it's the same for them? Diego said Kyrix was abusive though, right? Being in a bad relationship can feel like being abused. The thing is, both parties can feel the same way. And it's like you said, your boss knows more than you guys do, more than Diego even does, and he seems to think it's a 2-way street. Diego isn't abusive though, he's got his problems, sure, but he's a good guy. So is my ex, but sometimes relationship incompatibilities can bring out the worst in us, make us into people we're not. What I'm saying is, what if Kyrix was a good person too? What if they just weren't meant to be? Weren't right for one another? What about the thing that Aiden mentioned at the festival? He was really horrible there. How long have they been broken up then? A few weeks? That's right. Wouldn't you be mad? There's mad, then there was that. The way he behaved was really ugly. A reflection of their relationship, perhaps. Anyway, none of us know what really went on. You can't judge a situation after hearing only one side of the story. It could be different from how I think it is, but I think they should talk. That's my opinion. You don't think Diego should just forget it and move on? I still think that's the best move. Why drag it out? Without closure, those wounds turn into scars. Perhaps with some mutual understanding, they'll both be better equipped to move on? I don't know. Diego seems to be doing fine without it. I think he should, just carry on, dude. You have a point, Jay, but so do you, Russell. And Diego seems to agree that he should just move on. All things considered, he's doing okay and healing well. We were interrupted by a bell ringing from the direction of the kitchen. Oh, your food is ready. I'll go fetch it. You really think you shouldn't talk to Kyrix, Russell? I don't know, dude. If he's, doing okay without, then why bother? Have you ever been in a bad relationship? How'd you feel about closure? Nah, only, the best vibes over here, my dude. And, I guess you could say I'm not so much, the dating type. Oh? Yep. If the right, thing or whatever came along, I wouldn't turn it, away or anything. It's just that I ain't, looking for anything, you know? I'm happy as things are, my dude, so why change it? Makes perfect sense to me. Different strokes for different folks and all that. Totally. So, what about you? You been in any, bad relationships or whatever? Nope. I don't have any experience with that sort of thing either. I guess with Jay's experience, he's qualified to have an opinion on the topic. If you ask me, why dig up the past if Diego's doing okay? I just don't see the point. He's saying he is. I know it still affects him, though. I wonder if he's hurting more than he's letting on. Gentlemen, your meals. Jay placed our plates in front of us and sat back down, rejoining the conversation. Damn, that's a big sandwich. Maybe you should have a talk with Diego about it, Aiden. Get him to be honest about his feelings. I don't think he's been dishonest. People have a habit of pushing things that hurt us to the side, distracting ourselves, not processing them or dealing with them, and just trying to ignore them. If Diego really is doing well, then perhaps there is no harm in continuing as is. But if he isn't, this is an opportunity he should take advantage of. So you agree then. I should talk to Diego. Try to figure out just how much this still affects him. Sounds good to me, dude. I concur. I don't want to push any decision on him, but if the conversation is a success, hopefully he'll make the right decision on his own. I know he says he doesn't want to, I just want to make sure that he doesn't need to. You're aiming to facilitate conversation and stimulate emotion in order to encourage him to consider all angles. It's good that you're not pressuring him, dude. Just try to make sure he's thought about everything. That's the idea. It's not my choice, nor is it Ty's. It's Diego's. Just so long as he makes the right choice for his sake. Sounds like you've got a plan, my dude. Indeed. Keep me in the loop. I'd love to hear how it goes. Thanks for the advice, guys. I know what I need to do now. I appreciate it. Glad I could be of assistance. Although we're due to close soon and these tables won't wipe themselves. I apologize for taking off so suddenly. No problem. Sorry to distract you during work hours. It's my fault entirely, good sir. You need not apologize. And with that, I bid you adieu. And just like that, he switches the charm back on. What an interesting dude. Reminds me of Ty in a way. I reckon they'd get on. Most likely, dude. Anyway, Jay said they're closing soon. Should we finish up and head off? Just let me finish my omelet and we'll be off. Thanks to Russell and Jay, I now knew what I had to do. So long as Diego considered all angles and made his own decision, I'd be happy. Russell and I finished up and departed, waving goodbye to Jay, who'd returned our wave with a signature wink. There was daylight left if I wanted to hit the town, or I could head straight home and get this conversation over with. Time to hide the screen, because we don't know what's going to happen. I arrived home to find Diego in his usual position on the couch, playing some video game I didn't recognize. I sat down next to him as he greeted me. Okay, we're safe. Hey, you're back later than expected. Yeah, Russell and I finished at the same time, so we swung by the cafe. Aw, nice. Jay was there, I take it? Naturally, he sat with us for a bit and chatted. What about? Well, that's just it. I've got news. Oh? Hit me. Well, the reason I was called in was that Kyrix showed up unannounced to speak with Ty. Figures. And well, apparently he's agreed to talk. What? I'm as surprised as you, if I'm honest, but yeah. He's promised to be civil and all that. Ty says he'll make sure of it. You don't expect me to do this, do you? I don't expect you to do anything, Diego. It's your choice what to do. That being said, Russell and I were talking about it at the cafe, and Jay chimed in with his advice. Jay thinks you should do it. He says he's been in a bad relationship before, too. He believes it's more complicated than good or bad, than Kyrix just being an asshole. Which goes with what Ty was saying, and about Kyrix having a side of the story he hasn't shared with you. He thinks there's more to this, and at the very least you should hear him out. He said that without closure, your wounds would turn into scars or something like that. He thought you would heal better, assuming the conversation with Kyrix was productive. Russell, on the other hand, agrees with you. He thinks if you're doing fine as is, why bother reopening those wounds? Just carry on as you have been. Well, I'm glad someone agrees with me. At the end of it all, we came to a similar consensus, though. If it's truly not bothering you, you have nothing to gain from meeting Kyrix. But if it is, and you're just trying to ignore it, you have a lot to gain from it. It might help you truly get past it and be able to move on. So considering all of that, I have a question for you, and I need you to be honest. Alright, shoot. Are you truly past it? I know it still hurts, but does the prospect of never having your questions answered bother you? Do you have doubts? Do you truly think you can move on and forget everything that has happened to you who you are now? Okay, is he smiling in the past? No, he's not. Jeez, dude. I don't know what to say. It still hurts. Of course it does. It hasn't even been a month. Those sorts of wounds don't heal that quickly, you know? I still wish I knew why he acted like he did. Why he became so distant, so hostile. None of it makes any sense, but I grew content in knowing I'd never have an answer. But now it's like supposedly I could have an answer, straight from the horse's mouth no less, and it doesn't make any sense. That's just not like him. He's not the kind of person just talk. I don't trust him. I don't believe he has good intentions. Jay said something about his situation, about how relationships bring out the worst in people. They're complicated, messy, and of high stakes. You don't think it's possible Kyrix isn't the person you knew, that who he was, to you, was a product of the situation? I haven't really considered that, if I'm honest. My gut tells me he's exactly that person, but after what I've been through, why wouldn't it? This is also strange. It wasn't long ago that I paid him a visit either to fix things or to break it off. We know how that worked out. but I was willing to give him that chance. Of course, he didn't take it, so to me, that was severance. That was the definitive end. I was done. I hoped I wouldn't see him again, but Woodcrest is a small place, and we're in a lot of the same circles. We both know how that worked out, too. Just seeing him that night of the festival hurt like hell, not to mention how he acted. That's just how he was at the end. I still don't know what I did to deserve it. You didn't deserve it. Nobody does. His behavior was inexcusable. And tomorrow I'm going to be seeing him again anyway. I'm going to be fighting him. I figured that could be my closure. Just let it all out in the ring, you know? It still affects you. Yeah, it does. And it'll affect me more if he wins. Fuck, man. I don't know what to say. You've got a point. Remember, this decision is yours to make. If you decide to do it or not to do it, I'm behind you every step of the way. I don't know what the right choice is. Only you do. I just want you to do what is best for you. Jeez. Willing to brawl with the guy, albeit begrudgingly, but I'm so against just talking to him. What does that say about me? It says he hurt you. Bruises hurt, but emotional pain hurts for far longer. I don't think any less of you for feeling that way. But here I am, ready to knock the guy's lights out, and really, what will that achieve? Some kind of release? Something with a semblance of closure? Could you even call that closure? Maybe I was just justifying it to myself. I don't think it's what I really want, nor do I think it will help. Diego sighed and shook his head before pulling his phone out of his pocket. What are you doing? Hold on. Ty, it's Diego. Yeah, time and place. What? So soon? That makes a lot of sense. Alright, see you then. Diego hung up the call and turned to me. It's done. Tomorrow morning, before the fight. So soon? That's what I just said. But yeah, bar's closed for the day, so we won't be bothered by customers. Ty reckons it's best if we get it done before the fight, too. I wonder how that'll affect both of your performances. Depends how it goes, I guess. Oh, and there's one other thing. Yeah? I need to tackle this alone. It might get ugly, and I don't want you seeing that. Diego, you know that doesn't bother me. I know, but it's not just that. This is my baggage. I shouldn't have brought it into the relationship in the first place. That wasn't your fault. If anything, it was mine. Come on, you didn't know. Nobody is at fault. This is just something I need to do by myself. I don't know how to explain it better than that. I understand. I'll be a call away if you need me, and if not, I'll be waiting for you when it's all said and done. Thanks, I appreciate it. You're sure this is the right thing to do? No, not one bit, but he can't hurt me in a way that he hasn't already, and it's like you said, I have a lot to potentially gain. It's worth a shot. Worst case scenario, we're back where we are. We're back where we are now with some fresh wounds. Best case, maybe I can finally put this thing to bed once and for all. I'm proud of you, Diego. Thanks. I haven't done it yet, though. Save your pride for tomorrow night when everything is settled and I've knocked his block off for good measure. Alright, deal. Prepare to be smothered with love and praise when you win. Damn right. Now, I reckon I need something to take my mind off this so I'm not dwelling on it all night. How about we play some co-op? Sure. What even is this game? I don't recognize it. Ooh, boy, you're in for a treat. So it's an RPG, right? So the objective is basically just to progress, but it's really hard, and thus began an evening of hard-as-nails co-op before the two of us took an early night in preparation for a difficult and long day ahead. If I was honest, I didn't expect Diego to decide the way he did. I couldn't fault the logic. I only hoped if things went badly, he would take it as well as he could. I was a little nervous that he was going without me. I wanted to be there, to support him and have his back, but I could see why that wouldn't be appropriate for the situation. I'd have to trust in Ty to keep things civil. Tomorrow was no doubt going to be a very interesting day, for better or for worse. Only time would tell which. Day 19. From what I understand, we are almost done with Diego's route. Ow! Take it easy! Okay, we're safe. He's wearing pants. Still gonna keep it up, though. Sorry, you're all tangled up. In preparation for Diego's little chat, I demanded to brush him in an attempt to ensure he'd be looking his best. At first, Diego was reluctant, so I presented the idea to him a little differently. After all, looking like $1,000,000 is the best way to spite your ex. Diego was unsurprisingly responsive to the idea when posed this way, although it had clearly been a long time since his last— Ow! Jeez, dude, when was the last time you had a thorough brush? Oh, I think Mom insisted for my high school graduation now that you mentioned it. 5 years? Yeah, around that. No wonder you're so tangled up. It didn't used to be such a problem. I think as I'm getting older, my fur is getting more wavy. You ought to make this a regular thing. No thanks, I hate being brushed. How about you? When was your last proper brushing? It's been a while for me too. I'm lucky though, since my fur is nice and straight. It doesn't get tangled even when it's all thick in the winter. Oh, that's right. You molt like crazy in the spring. I remember when I moved out of the dorm, one of my cushions had a big tuft of your fur left on it. I left it there for a good while. Didn't have the heart to get rid of it. You never cease to amaze me with your talent of being simultaneously adorable and gross. Never was the biggest fan of cleaning up. It kind of made... Ow. Sorry. I'd almost finished, with only his lower back left to brush. Just in the nick of time, too. Too much longer, and we'd both be running late. Lucas is going to let you off in time for the final, right? He really ought to stop calling you in on tournament mornings. He knows your final is today. I'll be leaving whether he likes it or not. Reckon your little talk will be finished in time? Knowing Kayaks, it probably won't take long at all. He isn't the chatty sort, nor does he like heart-to-hearts. This whole thing's out of character for him. Ty seems to think it's legitimate, and he's a good judge of character. Or so he claims. I'm inclined to disagree. If Kayaks were smarter, I'd think Ty was being played, but, well, he ain't. Regardless, the whole thing is fishy. I don't like it. I suppose at least I won't have to wait long to get to the bottom of it all. Not far off now. Sorry, I didn't expect this to be so difficult. Tangles aside, it's actually kind of nice when it's you doing the brushing. I'm glad you think so. It's been a nice quality time with my favorite guy. I agree. I'm happy when I'm with you, even when it hurts. I was working the brush down Diego's back, forcing my way through various lumps and knots when suddenly I was interrupted by a loud thump. What the hell was that? Oh, nothing. Huh. I resumed brushing only for a short moment before the thump repeated itself. I continued brushing for the sound to only repeat itself several more times. It was during those repetitions I finally noticed what was happening. When I brushed this particular spot, Diego would involuntarily kick his right leg. That good, huh? Shut up, I can't help it! I brushed again, eliciting an identical reaction before Diego grew fed up and snatched the brush from me. He grabbed me by my shoulders and spun me around before lifting my shirt and running the brush down my back instead. Hey, what the... And wouldn't you know it, my right leg began to stomp the floor entirely out of my control. Ha! Same spot. It's different for everybody, but not for us. It must mean we're soulmates. Okay, I get the point. I'm sorry. Well, now I know exactly how to torment you when you get on my nerves. If you do, I'll torment you right back. You'll have to pry the brush from my cold, dead hands. Diego, having had his fun, gave my back a gentle brushing while he was there. Unlike his, my fur contained no knots for the brush to get stuck on. This is kind of nice. You like that, huh? I do. We should make this a regular thing. I'll brush you and you brush me. Sound good? I don't know, it kind of hurts. If we keep on top of it, you won't have that problem. Come on, please. I wagged my tail and smiled sweetly in an attempt to sway Diego, and what do you know? It worked. Alright, can't resist that cute face of yours. Besides, any opportunity is a good one to explore your sexy body. Diego finished up with his section he was brushing before putting the brush down with a sigh. What's wrong? Duty calls. As much as I'd love to stay put, I don't think Ty would be happy if I was late. Yeah. Ugh, I'm not looking forward to this at all. Hate to remind you that you're the one who committed to it. I know. Doesn't mean I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I'm expecting Kyrix to kick off. Always. You know, I have like a ponytail in the back right now. Yeah, I know. I swear to God, my fursona, like, right, hang on, let me, like, get this out of the way. Like, I swear to God, my fursona is just me, but dog form. Somehow, I don't think Ty would tolerate that. You're assuming he'd have a choice. If it came to it, I doubt he'd be strong enough to restrain him. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Remember that I won't be far away if you need me. Just a short walk. Just give me a call if I'm needed. Thanks, Aiden. I will. Stay strong. You can do this. Diego flashed a quick smile before he threw his shirt on, planted a kiss on my cheek, and made his way out of the front door. I sighed, wishing the moment could continue just a little longer. Last hour too was expected somewhere, and I quickly followed Diego's lead, heading out into the direction of Lucas's office. I arrived at Lucas's without a minute to spare, greeted by Lucas's sour face as I entered. Thankfully, I didn't seem to be the source of his scowl, as his face lit up as I entered the room. Get that smile off of your fucking face. I thought we said no smiling is allowed for you, Lucas. Wipe that smile off your fucking face before I physically remove your ability to smile. Ah, good, you're here. Thank you for coming in. No problem, so long as I'm gone before the fight starts. I'm good. You remember that's today, right? That's why I called you in, actually. Oh? We're working on materials for the upcoming mayoral election. Nothing too big or too difficult, but still important. We want to make sure we don't fall behind. With that being said, we'd all like to see the final round of the tournament, so with an extra set of hands on board in the morning, we can afford to close up early. That way all of us can attend without falling too far behind on our work. In other words, don't worry, we're all going together. Nobody will be missing it, least of all you. I see. That works for me. Don't mind the cash either. So, mayoral election, huh? When's that happening? It's a few months out yet, but people have to enroll to vote, which is what we're handling now. The contract is worth good money, not that the election is worth anything anyway. Not worth anything? What do you mean by that? Regardless of who the elected official is, it's the same guy pulling his strings. It's a matter of choosing our puppet, nothing more. Jeez, but things aren't so bad in Woodcrest, right? Not at all. Said puppeteer has the town's best interests at heart. Oh no! Oh no! Hang on. Oh no, bro! Hang on.
Oh no, bro!
Hang on. Let me pull this up. I tried to get the sound effect up, but it failed because I'm an idiot. So, like, or something. So I'll just, like, show the video. Let me, like, figure this out. Okay, so, display capture. Ah, here we go. Don't mind me, I like light mode. I'm weird like that.
Oh no, bro! Dude, take my picture!
I am a fucking child. I swear. Is that a widely known thing? I'm sorry, I'm still thinking of Muscle Man's tits, like, smacking him in the face. Is that a widely known thing? You'd think people would be more pissed off about it. Well, no, it's not. I just happen to be acquainted with the guy. I know how it is. Besides, it's like I said, he has the town's best interests at heart. It's Spencer! It's Spencer! If things were going poorly, such information would likely spread like wildfire and people would no doubt be unhappy. But that isn't the case. How does something like this even happen? I thought there were laws against this sort of thing. I shouldn't really go into it. Just know that the vast majority of Woodcrest is privately owned by this one person. Makes him more powerful than the mayor by a long stretch. He who holds the purse strings hold the power, or something like that. The more you know, I guess. I couldn't help but wonder who this person was and how they came into such a position of power. It was a far cry from most cities and towns, that was for sure. It's Spencer! It's fucking Spencer! But at the end of the day, Woodcrest was indeed thriving. Lucas was right in a sense. So long as everything was going well, there wasn't too much of an issue. Anyway, I hope you're not opposed to addressing more envelopes. All the addresses are on the computer, just like last time. No problem, I'll get right on that. Thanks. What the fuck did I just say, Lucas? The fuck did I just say? I went to my desk on the opposite end of the room to Lucas and made a start on my work. There were thousands, hell, maybe tens of thousands of names in the list. Thankfully, there were also one hell of a lot of envelopes this time around. Lucas was well prepared. It would take weeks to finish this list, even working on it full time. The next few weeks of working for Lucas were looking awfully boring. Many hours and several hundred envelopes later, I'd barely made a dent in the list of recipients. Just as I expected to go mad with boredom, Lucas called us all to attention. Alright boys, that's all we're going to fit in today. Hope you got plenty done. I think I'm ahead of schedule. I did as much as I could. There's still so much left. That's fine, we've got plenty of time to work on it. Hopefully with Aiden here, we've got a full day's work done. I did my best, but, well, there's a lot. I don't expect to finish this job for a while yet. Your best is plenty good enough. Now, is everyone ready to head down for the fight? Damn right. Nothing I love more than sweaty, undressed men. Hey, that's my boyfriend and his ex you're talking about. I know. I'll just admire from afar. I thought you didn't even like Kyrix. We didn't click. Doesn't mean he ain't a hot piece of ass. Oh, brother. Dom, is Axel going to be coming? Yep, he will be. We're going to be meeting up there. Cool. I can only assume Ty will be present too. Diego's with him now, as is Kyrix. Huh? Diego and Kyrix? What's going on? Ty's been trying to convince them both to talk out their problems. They both finally agreed to it. Jeez, before the fight, that could make things extra awkward. Can't imagine it's a fun conversation to be having. I know, haven't heard from Diego yet, so I can only assume it's still ongoing. Ty did mention something about that. I'm surprised he got them both to agree. As am I, to be honest. Anyway, I assume Russell is coming, and, what about Jay, Eric? Oh yeah, I think he was coming. I'll text him to make sure. Logan too. Wait, you have Logan's number? Well, you see, it's like this. There was this, Anyway, shall we get a move on? Yes, let's be on our way. Hopefully you arrive early enough that we can all sit together. Fine by me. Hey! He totally dodged my question. Our party arrived a little later than expected, with Dom and Eric insisting on changing into more casual attire before we departed. Once we'd finally left, we picked up even more of a delay with Eric taking a brief detour to buy something while the rest of us waited. Arriving back from his foray, he was in possession of a suspicious plain paper bag containing an object of which he wouldn't describe. He bought a dildo. Despite our curiosity, Eric was not budging and the conversation was dropped right around the time our group arrived at the stadium. We all took our seats with only around 10 minutes before the match was due to begin. Thankfully, there was space enough for all of us, and a few extra chairs to boot for those latecomers. We weren't even the first to arrive with Axel already being present and seated. Hey Aiden, hey Dom. Howdy Axel, been waiting long? Nope, only about 5 minutes. A little surprised to be the first one here. Ty and Russell haven't showed up yet. What about Diego and Kyrix? Nope, I haven't seen them. Yeesh, I hope everything's okay. I'm sure they'll be here. They wouldn't miss this. Assuming they didn't already have their fight at Ty's. Huh? Oh right, they're talking it out at Ty's behest. Trying to find closure and all of that. Oh geez, hopefully they're okay and they arrive soon. We can only hope. I'm sure they'll be fine, right boss man? Ty wouldn't let them rough each other up, well, before they're in the ring at least. And he wouldn't let them be late either, it's fine. You always know just what to say. Turning my gaze to the entrance, I noticed another familiar face enter. While it wasn't Diego, it was a welcome face nonetheless. If it isn't my wonderful husky acquaintance, looking forward to the fight. I'd say I'm nervous, but nowhere near as nervous as Diego feels, I'm sure. That goes without saying, my dear friend, but hardly invalidates your own feelings. The final match will be beginning in 5 minutes. If our combatants could please make their way to the ring. It would seem we are missing a few spectators. Yep, and the contestants. I see. Fear not, there's time yet. Hello. Logan, dear boy. So good to see you. Is Eric here? I motioned behind me where Eric was standing, and Logan bashfully made his way over to him. How strange. Since when do those two know each other? Isn't that just the question? It would seem our socially awkward friend has taken an interest in Eric. Somehow, that seems like the worst idea he could have. Or, on the contrary, perhaps Eric will bring him out of his shell a little. Time will tell. Here comes someone else. Yo, dude. Russell! Hey, you worked today, right? Totally did, my man. Where are the others? Oh, they weren't far behind me. I think Ty was giving them, like, a pep talk or something. As he said it, both Diego and Kyrix entered the building, walking only a short distance from one another, with Ty taking up the rear close behind. What was most interesting was that the two were walking relatively closely together, while neither spoke. Their proximity alone was something of a miracle. Upon having reached the corner of the ring, Kyrix went left and Diego went right with Tai also choosing the latter. I approached, Diego greeting him. Diego! Hey, Aiden. Geez, the fight is about to start. You guys cut it fine. At least you're already changed. Had my fighting shorts on under my pants all along. Thought I was gonna die of heat stroke at Ty's, though. Speaking of, how'd it go? The final match will be beginning in 1 minute. Contestants, please be ready to begin. Shit, cutting it close, alright. I'll clue you in later, okay? This big lizard and I have one last score to settle. I was disappointed, but Diego was right. There wasn't time for that now. I gave him a smile of understanding, and he nodded in response before heading down to the ring. As he climbed into the ring, I noticed Kyrix doing the same on the opposite end before leaning against the post nonchalantly, waiting for the match to begin. Diego started stretching, using every last second of time he had to prepare himself. One and all, welcome to the final round of the Woodcrest Combat Tournament. Today's contestants have fought hard to be here, winning their matches in the heats, quarterfinals, and semifinals. As such, both competitors will deliver the very best Woodcrest has to offer. We're expecting a fierce round, the winner of which will be crowned this year's champion and will be awarded this year's belt. In the red corner, we welcome back last year's tournament champion, known for his vicious and powerful fighting style. Please welcome this ferocious velociraptor, Kyrix. And in the blue corner is his challenger, It is going to be crazy. And in the blue corner is his challenger, an unpredictable and highly entertaining fighter who puts strategy above all in order to claim victory. Please welcome this cunning dingo, Diego. As with each previous round, the rules are the same and bear not repeating. After all, why delay with such an exciting match ahead of us, right folks? Without further ado, may the tense, pulse-pounding, and nail-biting final round of the Woodcrest Combat Tournament begin. Okay, this slaps. This music slaps. I swear to God, it's just like... It slaps. The battle had begun, but unlike the others, both contestants stood in their corners, even after the bell had rung. The two made eye contact, both looking solemn and determined. The crowd's chatter had quietened to a whisper, eagerly awaiting what would happen next. Diego lowered his stance with Kyrix smiling in return. Then Diego charged. I was sure I'd never seen Diego move that quickly before, and judging by Kyrix's surprised expression, now they're at it. It was close, but Kyrix narrowly managed to get out of the way. Diego bounced into the rope and closed down on Kyrix, who was now standing near the center of the ring. The two began circling one another as words were exchanged. Alas, I could not make out what was being said from this distance. This continued for several more moments before Kyrix threw a sudden kick which Diego intercepted with his left hand while striking Kyrix in the gut with his right. Kyrix then twisted out Diego's grasp and went for a strike with his tail. This landed, but Diego remained standing, unfazed by the blow. Diego threw a few retaliatory punches into Kyrix's chest, followed by a vicious surprise kick. Kyrix staggered back but a single step before gaining his stance and throwing a strong blow back into Diego's gut. Diego winced slightly, but otherwise didn't let his discomfort show. The two continued trading blows back and forth, neither gaining any particular advantage until Round 1, timeout. The two fighters dropped their stance and Kyrix appeared to chuckle slightly before turning tail and retreating to his corner. Diego seemed unamused, but nonetheless returned to his. A few moments passed with each fighter hyping themselves up in their respective corners before the PA called the beginning of the second round. This time, both fighters rapidly closed their distance and immediately went on the offensive. Well, I am most pleased to see their conversation did not harm their fighting spirit. They're fighting with all the vigor I could have hoped for. David didn't have time to say, but I take it the talk went smoothly. Things like I said, you had nothing to fear, although I obviously cannot disclose any of it. Confidentiality and all that. I am sure that is a task best left to Diego. That's something, I guess. I'll get the details from him later on. I assume you're going to keep your promise then? Worry not. I know I overstepped. I shall not interfere in the future. Good. And no more secrets, yes? Well, that depends. What? Ty chuckled to himself before slipping away from the topic, instead busying himself by initiating conversation with Lucas. Round 2, timeout. My attention grabbed by the bell, I returned my gaze to the ring to witness both fighters returning to their corners once more. Each was looking a touch more disheveled than when I last looked. Previous rounding taking its toll on both, but neither scoring any points. Quite a fight so far, right? Who would have thought it would be such a close match? This is exciting! but I hope Diego wins. Round 3, fight! The third round began, and the two went right back in, immediately throwing punches. This wasn't just a fight for these two, it was personal. Wow, that one looked like it hurt. I can't believe no one has been knocked down yet. They aren't holding back at all. I guess neither wants to lose to the other. Diego said before he went in that they had a score to settle. This isn't your average fight. I can feel it. There's so much energy between them. It's so exciting. Looking towards the ring once more, I saw Diego throw a fierce punch which successfully knocked Kyrex off his feet, only for him to roll and get straight back up. His counterattack was equally fierce, briefly staggering Diego, but not long enough for Kyrex's following strike to not be dodged. Diego's dodge successfully pivoted his position to Kyrex's right, with Diego launching a firm yet and highly effective strike into Kyrex's gut. Kyrex was briefly staggered, and Diego took advantage of this by charging into him, knocking him flat on the ground. Diego threw himself on top, and round 3 to Diego, score 1-0. About time. That was great. Yes, go Diego. Knock the scales off him. I hadn't really expected Diego to take the first point. I was nonetheless incredibly glad that were the case. Aiden, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is Diego's ex, yes? Right you are. Say, I'm sure I've seen him somewhere before. I swear to God. Anyway, such a beautiful fight. I'm in awe of their strength and determination. You can tell they have history. They're truly witnessing something special. You are so gay, you know that? But of course, whatever else would I be? Round 4, fight! And they're off again. By the gods, look at the musculature in Diego's arms. Hey! I know, he's yours, right? Fear not, I do not presume to steal him away from you. You better not. Jay fired me a cheeky grin before wandering over to Russell and striking up conversation. Looking towards the ring, little had changed. Diego and Kyrex were still duking it out with all the vigor and fury one would expect. Both of them were starting to look a little tired. I watched the battle for a few moments before I was approached once again, this time by our most unlikely pairing. Diego has improved. He's fighting well. I'm surprised he's actually winning. Kyrex struts about like he's hot shit, all bluster. He did win last year. So, he clearly ain't winning this year. Round 4 to Kyrex, score 1 all. Maybe I spoke too soon. Kyrex returned to his corner with a smile as Diego picked himself up off the ground. His expression was one of annoyance and frustration. Once back in his corner, he took a few deep breaths to calm himself, all the while holding eye contact with Kyrex. Kyrex looked back with a calm expression. Knowing what I knew, I would have expected Kyrex to gloat. Instead, he remained calm, quiet, focused. Round 5, fight. Fighters got back to work, neither of them hesitating for a minute. As soon as Diego arrived in range, Kyrex spun and threw his tail like a whip. This strike hit Diego directly in the face, sending him down to the ground, blood spewing from his nose. Foul, red flag for Kyrex. Score 2 to Diego. In a most unexpected move, Kyrex knelt down beside Diego. The look on his face looked almost apologetic. Diego scowled at him before picking himself up and wiping the blood from his nose with his forearm. Is it just me? Did that actually seem like a mistake? Either that, or he's a good actor. I don't know what to believe at this point. Do you really think that was accidental? Kyrex lost a point. He wouldn't do that just for fun unless he knew he'd win, regardless. Time will tell, I guess. Both fighters returned to their corners once again. Diego grabbed a towel from beside the ring and wiped himself off before cracking his neck and raising his fists, ready for another round. He was in the lead. Just one pin would be enough. Looking over at Kyrex, however, he seemed undeterred and confident. Diego had noticed this too, judging by his continued scowl. I wondered what was going on in his head. What was he thinking? How was he feeling? He really screwed himself with that one. I was almost glad he did it. While my nose hurt like hell, I got a point out of it. I wasn't going to say no to that. I looked over in Kyrex's direction and the two of us locked eyes. He appeared solemn and unusually dignified. In those final months, he would have jeered or made fun of me. Yet he did nothing of the sort, almost appearing mature in that moment. Somehow, I still didn't believe it. Despite everything that had been said, I couldn't bring myself to trust him. Round 6, fight. I moved in, this time playing a little more cautiously. I only needed one more point and the tournament was mine. I expected Kyrex would do similar, given the point he just made, with me. Confirming on my hypothesis, we both came into punching range and began to circle one another, waiting for the other to take the first move. What? Ain't gonna get revenge for that bloody nose of yours? And leave myself open to a counterattack? You're dreaming. I know you a little too well for that. Do ya? Pretty sure you're trying to rile me up, get me fighting recklessly. That's right. You sure it weren't no accident? I'd be surprised if it was. Well, my aim was a little off. I weren't meaning to hit you in the face. Promise. Sure you weren't. Honest. Swear it on my life. Our conversation had Kyrix distracted, giving me a golden opportunity for a jab in his gut. Oof, sly bastard. Kyrix was smiling despite the blow, but why? What was he planning? Surely he had something up his sleeves, or perhaps he was just enjoying himself. After all, it's not every day you get to brawl with your ex. I admit I was enjoying myself a little too. Suddenly, Kyrix went in for a strike that I managed to avoid and counter. Not that the counter-attack did a whole lot. Between the two of us, we each threw the occasional punch. Kyrix went in for another tail whip, this time more accurately aimed. It connected, but did little to throw me off balance. Do you always fight this slow? Speak for yourself. You look tired. What, and you don't? It's been a long fight. Round 6, timeout. We each lowered our fists and returned to our corners. Kyrix was right. It had been a long fight. My nose was still bleeding and my body was aching all over. Nonetheless, I was still standing and not about to go down anytime soon. I wouldn't lose. I couldn't lose. Not in the final round, not against Kyrix. Still had a score to settle, and I wasn't going to let him win, no matter what it took. I looked over at the crowd, seeing many of my supporters looking optimistic. They had split off into groups and were chatting amongst themselves. Aiden was standing with Logan and Eric. Shirtless and sweaty in front of Eric, no doubt he was enjoying every minute of it. Round 7, fight. It was go time once more. Little was achieved in the last round, so this time I was going to bring the pain. I briskly advanced, coming into range of Kyrix before opening with a kick. It connected but had little impact. Next I threw several punches, narrowly avoiding several of his own, before going in with another kick. I came crashing to the ground. He spun around and swept me off balance during the kick with his tail. I started to get up as he quite literally fell on top of me, crushing me in the process. Geez, was he always that heavy? That hurt. I struggled to throw him off with moderate success, restarting the pin count several times. Alas, round 7 to Kyrix. Score is 2-all. 2-all. There were still 3 rounds left. Whoever scored the next point was the victor. Was it too much to hope Kyrix would get another red card? Damn, Diego got played. I hate fighters with big tails. This is really close. You worried? A little. No matter who wins at this point, it was a good fight. But clearly, I'd rather it be Diego. Can't say I mind if it goes a bit longer, though. Are you being a pervert again? Maybe. Round 8, fight. I imagine this is going to take like 10 rounds. All 10. Oh my god! Kyrix and Diego once again closed their distance, preparing to knock the stuffing out of one another yet again. As was to be expected, both fighters started off cautiously. There would only be one more point for either fighter to decide the victor, and neither of them wanted to lose. I must admit, I am proud of Diego's performance. The fact that he is matching Kyrix as well as he is, very impressive. I cannot help but be a little proud of Kyrix too, mind you. As I hear it, his aggressive fighting style nearly cost him the semis. Really? He was up against another strategic fighter like Diego. He won in the end, but I hear it was close. He knows Diego is similarly strategic. I would say Kyrix's more restrained approach here is deliberate. He is keeping his cool rather well. So is Diego, actually. Things got a little heated earlier on, but they've slowed right back down now. I cannot imagine they are not completely exhausted after such a long fight. It has to be... Ty's words were interrupted by a sound of shock from the crowd around us. Turning our attention to the ring, Kyrix was on his knees, blood dripping from his mouth. Perhaps I spoke too soon. Lucas, what did we miss? Looks like Diego got revenge for that tail slap earlier, although not directly. However do you mean? All Diego did was dodge. Kyrix got tangled up in his own tail and fell face first into the floor. I am most glad that was not a penalty. Kyrix picked himself back up and wiped the blood from his face. He looked up at Diego, whose nose was still dripping blood, and laughed. He said something, and although I couldn't hear it, I could quite easily read his lips. Guess we're even. Diego laughed in response before the two of them raised their fists once again and resumed brawling. Well, that certainly seems like a friendlier interaction than the norm. I assume your interference bore fruit, and I assume you're still not going to tell me what happened? It would not be my place. After all, I would not dare stick my nose in your business. Right. Do not underestimate my abilities as a mediator. Round 8 timeout, score 2 all. Once more, the two fighters returned to their corners, each picking up a towel and cleaning themselves off. There was a line of blood down the middle of Diego's chest, and Kyrix wasn't looking too much better off. I feel sorry for Diego. He looks hurt. They both do, but I doubt they're feeling sorry for themselves. Round 9, fight. I suppose you're right, dude. This is probably like cathartic for them. Sorting out their differences the only way men know how. That's one way of looking at it, but they spoke already, didn't they? They did. I don't know what happened. All I know is it went fairly well. Huh. I guess, like, words can't solve everything, right? Aiden, Russ, this is so exciting. Right? It's kind of scary, too, though. Do you think Diego will win? It's really close. Win or lose, they both fought, like, super well. No matter what happens, I'll be proud of Diego. Round 9 timeout, score 2 all. Wow, they timed out again? They're being too cautious. I looked back over the ring to see Diego slump to his knees. Kyrix, noticing this, sat down in front of him and the two began to speak. I found it all so strange. They almost seemed friendly. Perhaps friendly was the wrong word, but they certainly didn't seem to hate each other like they did. Just what happened between the two in their talk? I was more confused and curious now than ever. Ha! 9 rounds to all. You know what that means? It means you've got to stop holding out on me. Could say the same to you. Kyrix sneered his usual sneer, but with an unusually playful smile tucked away in the corner of his lips. I slowly pulled myself back to my feet. My muscles ached. My muscles aching and searing as I did. Kyrix followed suit, not hiding a similar feeling of pain all the while. I took a few deep breaths, waiting for the call starting the final round. This was it. One last battle. Win or lose, I was ready. We were both bloodied and broken, but not yet beaten. We stood in silence, my heart pounding in my chest, drowning out the sounds of the crowd. Kyrix looked at me, his expression one of sour determination. I bared my teeth at him. In action, he returned with a mocking smile. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our final round. Both of our combatants are on equal ground, only requiring a single pin in order to win the tournament. And so, may the best fighter be the victor. Let the final round begin. Kyrix moved towards the center of the ring, failing to hide a notable limp. I followed suit, hunched slightly due to the pain in my back. It surely looked amusing from the crowd's perspective, almost as though we were two decrepit old men. Hell, it sure felt that way. Kyrix and I arrived within range of one another, and it took everything I had to throw a punch Kyrix didn't dodge. Not that it seemed to have much of an impact anyway. Kyrix returned with a punch of his own, hitting me square in the arm. It struck a bruise, but that would have likely been the case no matter where he struck. Is that all you got? Kyrix took this as a challenge, throwing another weak punch from his other arm. The effort of doing so caused him to wobble somewhat. This was my chance. I mustered all of my strength and charged forward, grabbing him and trying to pull him to the ground. He slapped his tail to the ground almost like an anchor, successfully remaining upright as I stumbled to the floor. Kyrix tried to take this opportunity to pin me, but was too slow. I managed to crawl out of the way just in the nick of time with Kyrix hitting the ground beside me. Heh, ain't this embarrassing. With great effort, I managed to pick myself up off the floor as Kyrix was slowly doing the same. We were both completely exhausted. Before long, we stood facing one another once more. Kyrix strafed to one side and whipped his tail against my shins, causing me to collapse back to my knees. Kyrix grabbed my shoulders and tried to force me to the ground. I resisted with everything I had, and in his exhaustion, Kyrix fell to his side next to me. I took this opportunity and fell on top of him, initiating a pin. Alas, he pulled himself out of it and slowly climbed to his feet. I rolled to the side and onto my knees before standing up once again myself. We faced one another yet again and exchanged several more blows before Kyrix glanced to his side and lowered his fists. Huh? What are you doing? Look. I followed his gaze up to the round timer. 5 seconds. 4, 3, so that's how it ends, eh? There was an almost eerie silence in the venue. It was several moments before the PA piped up, announcing the result. I don't believe it, folks. For the first time in the history of the Woodcrest Combat Tournament, the finals have ended in an even tie. And so I announce our winners, Kyrix and Diego. I slumped to my knees as Kyrix turned back toward me and began to walk closer. His approach concerned me. I wasn't rightly sure what he was going to do. It was then that he sat down only a few feet away from me, breathing heavily and wearing a subtle grin. Well, it's better than losing, I guess. Speak for yourself. I was hoping to kick your ass. I mean, ugh. Oh god. I wiped the blood from my nose yet again, my arm aching as I did. You kinda did. I think one of my teeth is wobbling. Serves you right. I guess it kinda does, huh? And that bloody nose of yours, you had it coming. Asshole. Heh. Kyrix painfully pulled himself to his feet, staggering a little in the process. He then slowly ambled over to me. To my surprise, he balanced himself with his tail, holding out his hand to me in an offer to help me up. Sure you've got the strength left for that? We'll soon find out. I grabbed Kyrix's hand and he strained to pull me up off the ground. His first try was a failure, with him nearly losing his balance, but his second attempt bore more fruit as I climbed to my feet and stumbled into him. Hey, watch it. People might get the wrong idea. And don't we all know about that? Guess we do. The tournament belt will be handed out to none other than the tournament organizer, who is making his way down to the ring as we speak. Contestants, please meet with him to claim your prize. Kyrix and I slowly made our way out of the ring into the staircase where a familiar figure approached. Well, gentlemen, this has been a most surprising result. Well done to you both. Incidentally, the belt reads Champions for some arbitrary reason, almost as though someone had predicted this very outcome. Although one would assume, if indeed they were properly prepared for such a scenario, there would have been 2 belts instead of just 1. Just 1? Really? Indeed, far from the most ideal circumstances. Man, I don't want to share with this asshole. Pah, you're telling me. Oh dear, this may well be problematic. Nah, it ain't. Huh? I already have one, you see, from last year, so, yes, I see. You're willing to concede the belt to Diego, then? I guess that's what I'm saying. It's not like I need 2 of the things. Kyrix leaned over to me and whispered in my ear. Does this make us even? I wasn't sure how to answer. Generosity from Kyrix was unheard of. Or perhaps he was doing it out of guilt. One thing was for sure, this wouldn't have happened if we hadn't spoken. I sighed. There have been enough tension and bad blood. Nothing could undo the 9 months of hell we'd both been through, but Kyrix's gesture was appreciated nonetheless. In accepting his offer, I felt perhaps we could put this whole thing behind us once and for all. You know what? You've said everything you've needed to say and beaten the crap out of each other for good measure. You're still a dick, but hey, I'll take your belt and we can call it even. Works for me. Well, it is good to see you two have patched things up. You know about that? Naturally, I know many people in here many things. Kyrix leaned over to me, whispering in my ear once more. Hey, who's this weirdo? Ain't that just the question? Kyrix looked confused, but quickly regained his composure as Spencer produced the tournament belt, handing it to me and instructing me to hold it up before the crowd. I turned to Kyrix, who had already surrendered the belt to me. Perhaps I was finally starting to forgive him. Hey, Kyrix. Yeah? I think my arms are a little tired to be lifting this thing. Think I could get a hand? Kyrix smiled, seeing right through my ruse as the two of us turned towards the crowd and thrust the belt into the air, one side in my left hand and the other in his right. The adoring crowd cheered in response. Despite the fight ending in a tie, perhaps this wasn't such a bad ending after all. I was finally learning to forgive him, and I finally understood how he felt in all of it. We've both made mistakes, we both hurt one another, and yet today, we found forgiveness and closure. We were both winners today, regardless of the tournament result, and at long last, we could put this whole sordid affair behind us. I was in disbelief. They held with the belt together and everything. Just how well had their talk gone exactly? Well, I bet you're kind of confused, huh? Duh! What the hell's going on with you two? I'll tell you when we get home, I promise. Diego, that was very well fought. Well done. How do you feel? Sore, hungry, a little annoyed I didn't win outright. But, well, I guess it's appropriate. Appropriate indeed. And he let you have the belt. It would seem our raptor friend has come down with a bad case of generosity. Or guilt. He was grasping at straws to find an excuse for being nice. Sounds like it were an amusing moment. Anyway, I'd like to hold a celebration for you, but I expect you would probably prefer rest first. How does tomorrow suit you? Yeah, that works for me. I'm a little sore for partying, you know? Indeed. Tomorrow, then. I'm sure everyone here wishes to congratulate you, so I'll get out of the way. Before I do, permit me to do so first. Congratulations, Diego. My faith in you was not misplaced. You say that as though I won, but thanks, I appreciate it. Wow, Diego, you did great. How do you feel? In one word, sore. I bet. I'm sure it felt good smacking him a few times, right? Damn right it did. If only he didn't hit me back. You even got the belt. That's so awesome. Congratulations, Diego. Thanks, guys. You did a lot better than I expected. Good work. Wipe that smile off of your face. I knew you had it in you, big guy. Never doubted you for a second. Honest. Ha! Thanks, guys. Say, it's been a while since you worked for me, and we've still got quite a big contract. Straight back to business with you. Well, you have my number. Just let me know. Ty's already extended his warmest invitation to your little celebration. Looking forward to it. You did good. You deserve a celebration. Hopefully less awkward than the last one. Say, I think your new friend will be there, Logan. Just look at him go, all beet red. Anyway, well fought, Diego. How's it feel to be champion? Pretty good. I don't think I'll be doing it again next year, though. Understandable. Just means it's mine next time. Not likely. You'll have to go through me. I do like a challenge. Geez, last in line. How rude. Just wanted to say, congrats, my dude. You were totally an animal out there. Thanks, Russell. I appreciate it. And now we've gotten that out of the way, you better get home. Clean the blood off you. We'll see you tomorrow, my dude. Don't feel the need to stick around for us. Yeah. Aiden, what do you say? Ready to head home? Wait, you're forgetting one thing. Huh? What? Congratulations, Diego. You've made me proud. Ha! Aw, shucks. Thanks, Aiden. Let's head home. I'm beat. Yeah, let's. Just hide that. I'm glad Ty suggested having the celebration tomorrow instead. I'm hurting like crazy. If it's any consolation, I'm sure Kyrix is too. You gave him a real thumping. Damn right, he's had that coming for a long time. Anyway, again, how does it feel? Don't rightly know if I'd call it a win. I mean, you came home with a belt. That's a win. It was a tie. Kyrix just let me have the belt. Wait, he just gave it to you? I think he was trying to ease his guilt or something. He already had one too, after all. On the topic of Kyrix, though, I assume you'd like to know what happened. Well, duh, but only if you feel comfortable telling me. I don't want to put pressure on you and all that. Pressure? Psh, it's fine. If I were you, I'd really want to know too. Well, I arrived at Ty's. It was closed for the day, so I had to knock, but Ty came out to find me. Day 19. Again. Good morning, Diego. I trust you are well. As well as I can be going into something like this. Is he here yet? No, you're the first to arrive. Shall we sit down and wait for him? Kind of want to just get it done with, you know? Waiting for him just makes me more nervous. I'm afraid there's little we can do. What if he's chickened out? I somehow doubt it. He gave me his word and no reason to doubt it. Besides, I've heard his story. I know he has some things to get off his chest. Can't imagine what. Anyway, shall we? Ty motioned to the booth in the middle of the bar. I nodded and followed behind him, taking my seat in the booth as Ty took his in a position that would be set between us. It must be said, it is very grown up if you're too great to be here. I cannot say I was expecting it. This wasn't what I wanted. I'm sure it wasn't what he wanted either. But at the very least, once this is done and dusted, perhaps you'll leave this whole thing alone? That is my intention, and for what it's worth, I am sorry. Aiden gave me quite the lecture about it. I was a little too caught up in my own head to realize how I was making you both feel. I am a fixer, rather than come whatever may, I prefer to step in and try to ensure the best possible outcome. But it is not always my place to do so, and my fixing may be doing more damage than what I am trying to repair. Well, I'm glad you got that figured out. You said no more secrets, right? You're going to stay out of our business? I cannot promise no more secrets in a broader sense, but I can promise I will not interfere. Nor keep things from you like I've been doing. What's that supposed to mean? I'm just dotting my I's and crossing my T's, as it were. But never mind that. We have a visitor. Ty slid back out of his chair and made his way to the door. Through the glass I could see a familiar face. Ty pulled the door ajar, allowing Kyrix inside before locking it once more. He then made his way back to his chair, sliding it back to his original position as Kyrix took his immediately opposite me. Thank you for both coming. I am pleased you agreed to this meeting. Kyrix scowled. He was clearly no more pleased to be here than I was. Ty continued. Would either of you like refreshments before we begin? On the house? Of course. Bourbon. Right you are. Diego? I'm fine. Of course, one moment. It ain't like you to turn down a free drink. I quit. Did you? Your new boy's influence, no doubt. Something like that. There was an uncomfortable silence between us as we sat there waiting for Ty's return. Thankfully, he wouldn't be gone long. Here we are, Kyrix. Kyrix tipped his glass in appreciation before taking a large sip. Now, I've heard both sides of this story, but I don't believe either of you have. I think there's some things neither of you quite understood in this relationship. Therefore, it is my hope that you both can tell your stories plainly and truthfully. Once we have heard both in their entirety, we can pick at the details. Does this sound adequate? Fine. All right. Excellent. Diego, would you like to start? Not really, but if I must, start where? How about when you two first met? Tell me how that went. Please be thorough and detailed. I sighed. Here goes nothing. Well, this was about 9 months ago. I'd been living in Woodcrest for a while at that point, back at university. I used to spend a lot of time at the gym there, keeping fit, you know? And since moving here, I'd, kind of gotten a bit depressed, I guess. I hadn't been to the gym since then, so I figured, hey, why not sign up at the local one? So I did that. Kind of got back into the swing of things for a few days. Then I met this guy. Might I ask why you were depressed? At first I thought it was just the stress of a new place. But once I settled in, I still felt that way. So then I thought maybe I was just lonely. Didn't know many people. I didn't have to wait long before I made some friends. But as much as I enjoyed their company, I still felt a little down all the time. At the time, I didn't really understand it. But when I met Kyrix, at least right in the beginning, I felt happy. Didn't last long, but for a short moment, everything was alright. Could it have been that you were missing Aiden? Yep, already figured that all out. I spent the previous couple of years crushing on him, but I was too stupid to act on it. Moving here, it felt like a piece of me was missing. But I was stupid. I didn't understand. That's why I felt the way I did at the time. Even after I met Kyrix, I still didn't get it. Now that Aiden here again with me, I finally understand. I see. So how did that go? Kyrix was nice, at least in the beginning. He showed an interest. I felt as though he cared about what I had to say, about how I felt, all of that. He presented himself as this motivated, amazing person. A little rough around the edges, sure. A little crude, definitely. Both him, at least back then, I felt I could do anything. I got really into the gym at that point. Not so much because of my own goals, but because he'd be there. I still felt sad on my own, but when he was there, I stopped feeling sad. Why do you think that was? I guess it's the excitement and anticipation you feel when you start dating someone you know. Back then, I kept thinking of the future and what it might hold. Silly, sappy things like those little relationship milestones and all the amazing stuff we could achieve together. Having that in my life, I didn't feel down anymore. When did I ever agree to date you? Huh? I meant what I said. Answer the question. I pondered this for a while, but couldn't rightly recall the answer. It was at some point early on. I just didn't know exactly when it was. I don't remember exactly, early on. Now, you see, that's bullshit. Kyrix, please be calm. Kyrix closed his eyes and took a few deep breaths. Ty had evidently taught him some new tricks leading up to this conversation. The Kyrix I knew was prone to just explode. Gentlemen, please, Diego, would you like to continue with your story? Honestly, I want to know what Kyrix is talking about. I understand, but we are getting ahead of ourselves. Please just trust me on this. I'd like for you to continue your story, and Kyrix, please do not interrupt until he has finished. Fine. What did Kyrix mean? Of course he did. We were together for 9 months. Ty had his firm gaze fixated on me. For now, I had no choice but to continue as he desired. Alright, well, we started, getting intimate. Pretty quickly, actually. It was a few days after we first met. There was all this tension between us, and, well, I can't say I'm proud to admit we did it right there in the gym. Locker rooms, to be exact. That was our first time. And second, and third, it became a near daily occurrence. After a while, I started inviting him other places, like out to lunch and whatever. It always turned sexual one way or another, but I didn't really mind. Kyrix. Kyrix sighed but said no more, allowing me to continue. Well, we went back to my place a lot. It was a lot of fun at first, but once we'd, done the deed, he was pretty quick to excuse himself. That was maybe the first sign of the problem. So I tried to invite him lots of different places, include him in my daily life, all of that. Asked to see his house. I never saw his house. He kept making excuses about it, but I got the feeling he just didn't want me to go there. In hindsight, I'd have probably found something I didn't want to see. Such as evidence he wasn't being faithful. Kyrix looked highly irritated, but knew better by now than to interrupt. Anyway, during those early days we hung out heaps, went lots of places together, worked out together nearly every day, but the cracks started showing pretty soon. One day I was working for Lucas. This is before Kyrix started there. I told the guys there about my new boyfriend. He got mad when he found out. Oh? Saying stuff like, why are you telling people about us? It's none of their business. We'd had a few scuffles before then, but that was our first real fight. Even worse, it wasn't long before I got him a job working for Lucas. Kyrix especially wouldn't tolerate relationship talk at work. He acted as though we were strangers. It hurt, you know? We'd been together like a month and a half at that point. I wanted to tell the world, you know, but he wasn't having any of it. I looked towards Kyrix, who was tuned out, finishing his drink already and not paying a great deal of attention to what was being said. Evidently, Ty noticed this. Kyrix, might I ask that you pay attention? Why? It's all bullshit anyway. Ain't no point. Kyrix! What? Diego's being honest. Please, just listen. I'm sorry, Diego. Please continue. Well, as time went on, he started to withdraw a bit. Our daily meetings dwindled to a couple of times a week, then once a month, then once every 2. He'd take more and more convincing to come. He was responsive if I promised sex, at least to start with, but eventually even that didn't work no more. It was tough. My boyfriend didn't want to spend any time with me. We fought about that too, and as time went on, he kinda, got mean. I'd see less and less of him, and when I did see him, he was a total dick. He stopped responding to my messages, he wouldn't be at the gym at his usual times, and it's not like I could visit him at home either. I felt abandoned, and when I did see him, he was an abusive dick. He was off sleeping with other dudes, ignoring me, and didn't even have the decency to call things off first. In the end, he wasn't the person I thought he was. I felt like he just got together with me for sex. He didn't even want me for anything else, and when he'd had his fill, he just ghosted. So then I confronted him one day. He was on assignment for Lucas. I knew where he'd be. I called him out on all the shit he put me through, and have him an ultimatum. And well, you know how that went down. We broke up there and then, and that was that. Thank you for your honesty, Diego. Kyrix, how do you feel about this? You know how I feel. It's all complete bullshit. So you say. Then can we hear your side of the story? Yeah, I guess so. It's what I agreed to. Reckon I can get another drink first? Very well. Ty got up to prepare another bourbon for Kyrix, leaving the two of us facing one another, Kyrix scowling at me intensely. You really think everyone's gonna buy that sob story? It's the truth. It ain't the goddamn truth. It's your fucked up, oh, woe is me version of the truth. Version of the story that makes you look like a saint. If that isn't the truth, then what is? Ty returned to the table, handing Kyrix his drink, which he instantly took a big gulp from without ever breaking eye contact with me. Ty could sense the troubled atmosphere, but decided to push ahead anyway. Kyrix, may we hear your version of the events? Thought you'd never ask. So the beginning sounds about right. Saw this guy at the gym, new blood and all that. Thought to myself, hey, wouldn't mind a piece of that. So I did what I do. Started chatting him up, all that. Got what I wanted pretty quickly, invited him to some of the group stuff, but he wasn't having it. Said all this stuff about how he ain't into that. All the more for me, I guessed. So that went on for a bit, alongside the other stuff. Wait, you were cheating right from day one? Now you see you're interrupting this time. Answer the question. I ain't never cheated on nobody. Then what the fuck did you mean by, you can't cheat when you ain't in no relationship? What? You're over here giving this sob story about your abusive ex. How could I be your ex? I was never your boyfriend in the first place. I didn't understand. What was he? You? Me? We never dated. We slept together. I never agreed to anything else. You did that on your own. What the fuck are you talking about? Gentlemen, I feel as though we are getting a bit ahead of ourselves. Kyrix, would you please finish your story before we get down to the brass tacks? Fine. So yeah, we slept together. Most of the guys I slept with were in groups. Did singles here and there. Diego was one of my repeats. It weren't nothing more than that to me. But he started getting, high maintenance. Wanted a lot from me. Kept calling me up, asking me places and all this. It became a chore, busy work to get what I was after. Then he started saying we were a couple, telling people about us. It's like I said, I never signed up for that. So yeah, I weren't happy about it. Didn't think there were a question as to why. About that point, he started picking fights, getting real difficult, demanding more and more from me. I didn't know the truth. I didn't know what to do at this point. Thought I'd put my dick in crazy, to tell you the truth. Like I'd picked up some crazy needy stalker or something, so I backed the hell off, but I was stupid. Gotta be honest, sex was great. Kept thinking with my little head, if you know what I mean. Went back a few times, shouldn't have, but shit kept escalating. Eventually even Littlehead couldn't convince me to go near that whole trash fire, and I know this is going to sound real shitty, but got easier as he gained weight. In that moment, I had too much swirling through my head to even process that comment. I should have been furious, but I felt as though things were starting to make some sense. Shitty indeed, but it is in our nature to have types and preferences. You know this already, Ty. I was never good at the whole talking thing. I tried a couple times to talk, but we never quite figured it out. He was pissed and crazy, so I distanced myself further and further, but he kept following more and more. He kept popping up all over the damn place. Thought I'd have to move out of town or something. I didn't know what else to do. So yeah, I know it's shitty of me, but I tried to make it as obvious as possible I didn't want him around. I was a dick to him. Figured he'd get the message. Eventually he did, like a few months later. He confronted me one day, gave me like an ultimatum. Kinda like he said, I would guess, saying all the shit that didn't make any sense. I just laughed. I didn't know what to say. Like, fuck no, I don't want to fix shit. I want you out of my life. That's all I'd wanted for months. So he got the hint. Hooked up with his new boy like a couple of weeks later. Was a huge fucking relief, gotta say. Could actually go back to my normal life without worrying about running into him. Wasn't all relief though, as you know. Indeed. Just so you know, the reason Kyrix and I began talking is because I felt guilty. I had heard what I had heard, and mentioned that to Lucas. He might have played a role in Kyrix losing his job. That night, out in the rain, Kyrix told me about his money issues. He was struggling for rent, food, all of that. He had cut his power already due to a late bill. I felt somewhat responsible. And well, in hearing his side of things, the full picture started to become clear. It is like I have said to Aiden, you both hold the truth from your perspectives, but those perspectives are wildly different, and your lack of success in communicating prevented either of you from truly figuring that out. I don't... The horrible thing is that suddenly it all kind of made sense. To him, I was some crazy, clingy sexual partner gone wrong. I'd taken his initial willingness to spend time with me and to be intimate as something it wasn't. I'd critically misread the room right from day one. But why? I already knew why. It was because of Aiden. I was still fixated on him. The one that got away. I was still trying to fill that empty space in my heart, trying to replace him. Trying to find somebody that made me feel like I did when he was around. And I fooled myself into thinking I had. Found the person that gave an inch and took a mile from them. Diego, do you understand? Kyrix, you both went into this thinking something different to what the other believed. From your perspective, Diego seems crazy, but knowing what he felt, what he thought, do you still believe that? I don't know. I don't understand why. I can answer that. I was trying to replace Aiden. I'd figured this out already, mind you, but it now makes sense. I clung to what I wanted instead of the reality of the situation. I was desperate, depressed, longing, lonely, so when Kyrix seemed interested in me, I leapt at the chance, but he's right. Thinking back, I don't think we ever really decided between us what this was. So I went in thinking one thing, Kyrix went in thinking another. I figured we were on the same page, but we weren't. As tensions grew, it got harder to communicate, harder for us to actually figure out what the hell was going on. So to me, he was a neglectful abuser, and to him, I was a clingy psycho. But I'm not that. I know I'm not. Kyrix sighed and took a big gulp from his glass before clearing his throat. You know, this is kind of awkward for me, but I am proud of how I treated you. It was stupid. I don't know what else to do. And I've been meaning to say, that night of the festival, I saw you, and it all came flooding back to me. I panicked, treated you like I had been, even though you weren't no threat to me anymore. I'm sorry. It was shitty. I ain't gonna excuse it, and for the rest of it too. The whole thing, I just ain't good at this sort of thing. Thank you. I didn't think I wanted an apology, mostly because I didn't expect it to be genuine. But, well, I appreciate it. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry too. I fucked up big time. I know that now. I just didn't see it before. Didn't understand it. You'd been through enough without me adding to it. Oh, Kyrix, would you mind elaborating on what he means? Guess I ain't told you that part. My bad. He's talking about my childhood. Shit was rough. Not that I'm making it an excuse, course. I know a little. Enough to know you had it rough. If you wouldn't mind sharing, I would like to hear it directly from the horse's mouth, though. This ain't no sob story, and I don't want people thinking I'm sitting here trying to excuse anything. I acted shitty. Don't matter what happened for that. I'm glad you understand that, but seeing as we are here, perhaps telling us both in detail will help us know you better? Alright, brought this on yourselves. Well, people who knew me as a kid say I couldn't be any more different. Like I said, had a heart, said I was kind, had a heart of gold, all that. If I tripped, I'd cry for the longest time. You know, classic crybaby. May not believe it, but I was something of a runt too. Mom was great. She picked me up when I fell, taught me all of life's lessons, but him, the man I refused to call my father, well, you don't want to hear it. Point is, she and I went on the run from him, moving from town to town. I was in a new school every few months. He'd track us down relentlessly. Spent a lot of time in shelters living in her car, but no matter how often we'd moved, he'd sometimes still find us. I was scared, constantly. Mom was too. Not just that, but the kids at school were tough on me. I struggled to make friends, and no matter which school I moved to, there'd always be those that pick on me. I remember one of those schools had this strict no fighting policy. Sounds good, right? It weren't. Just meant I got the shit kicked out of me, they got in trouble for fighting. To make it worse, spent nearly a year at that one. I used to run to the adults for protection, but after that, I didn't trust them either. The only person I could rely on was me and Mom. So first year of high school, my father was arrested on a litany of things. We're no longer on the run for once, and well, puberty hit, and I grew. God damn did I grow. Went from scrawny nothing to 6'4" in the space of like a year. Turned things back on those bullies pretty damn quick. Got me expelled at 15. Funny how that works, eh? By that point, my mom had fallen ill both physically and mentally. She was the only person I cared for, the only person who was ever in my corner. Started working right out of school to support us both. She died 4 years ago. Suicide. I kind of ran away, here to Woodcrest, to start over. Got into the gym and all that then. Sort of rebuilt my life. It's been a rocky ride, but yeah, that's the short version, seeing as you asked. I knew it was bad, but I'm sorry, Kyrix. Nah, don't be about it. Don't worry about it. Can't change the past. Although curious why you wanted to know. There is a reason, just trust me. How about you, Diego? We know how you went to university in the city and moved here. What about before that? Well, if you're expecting something as dramatic as Kyrix's, you'll be disappointed. Normal, well-adjusted family, mostly 2 brothers, Sam and Isaac. Good kids, ain't seen them in years. I visited them just before I moved out here, but it's been a couple of years all the same. Woodcrest is pretty far from home. Do you miss them? Of course, it's been too long. Where do they live exactly? Seaton, on the southeastern coast. It's where I grew up. It's more than a day's trip by train. I keep meaning to go see them, but, well, life. Money, you know how it is. Indeed. I think you showed me a picture of them once. Looked like you had a good relationship. Did I? I don't remember. Yeah, they look like little ewes. One of them had this long-ass shaggy head of hair. Oh yeah, Sam still got that. Don't know where he got that from. I could never grow up much further than this. I noticed Ty's smile as he leaned back into his seat. Kyrix and I locked eyes before turning back to him, having dawned on just what Ty was playing at. Hey, what you playing at? Was this your plan all along? Indeed, look at the two of you, just chatting. My heart swells with joy. Kyrix grumbled, clearly annoyed that Ty had gotten his way. By this point, I wasn't surprised in the slightest. That sort of trickery was the usual for Ty. It was weird, but for a moment there, I remembered Kyrix as he was when we'd first met. Perhaps we were never truly in a relationship, depending on your definition. But one thing was for sure. Once upon a time, the two of us were friends. It was a confusing and uncomfortable pang of nostalgia. Before any of this shit went down, before we hated each other's guts. But I suppose that if we'd never been able to be friends, none of this would have even been possible in the first place. But the two of you understand now, right? Diego, do you think you are ready to put this behind you? I mean, sort of. Just because I understand doesn't mean it never happened, you know? I agree with him for a change. We've both been through a lot. You can't just undo that. But I gotta admit, for a moment just now, I kinda got like a weird familiar vibe just now. Whatever do you mean? Guess what I'm saying is he and I were friends once. None of this would ever happen if we weren't. Guess I kinda missed it deep down. Him and I, just talking, I missed it. It's kinda stupid after everything. I guess friends are in short supply or something. It's been getting kinda lonely. Just wish shit hadn't gotten so messy. I hate that you're right, and I hate that I agree with you. In the beginning here, we did get along. Really well, in fact. Maybe that had something to do with why I mistook it all for something it wasn't. That and desperation and my loneliness. Shit, it's also fucked up. Why? Why did it have to be like this? Does it? Knowing what you know now. Could it not be different? Could you put all this behind you and start anew? I don't know. Guess I gotta think on that one a bit. Ty rolled up his sleeve and checked his watch before turning to the conversation. Thinking will have to wait, I'm afraid. As it would have it, the three of us may have gotten a little carried away. We were running late. Shit. The final. Oh crap, I'd completely forgotten. Well then, gents, how about we get on our way and the two of you can settle your remaining differences with a good old-fashioned tussle? I don't like it when you call it that, but alright. Yeah, let's get a move on. I bet Aiden is freaking out by this point, wondering where we are. Indeed, I'd expect no less. Wait, are you serious? Yep, accidental small talk and everything. That cunning tiger. I've got to give him credit where credit is due. That's honestly kind of amazing. So yeah, I guess we thought out a little. I'd hardly say buddy-buddy, but, well, you know. I'm proud of you, Diego, and I'm sorry. Huh? What for? If I had the courage back then, none of this would have happened. Hey, we've talked about this. I know, nobody is to blame, and it all worked out in the end. Still, I want to make it up to you somehow. You've already more than made up for it. Now find another way to make up for it. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Oh, and I know it might be wrong to say, but it's kind of sweet just how much you missed me. I missed you a lot, too. That last year of university just wasn't the same. I guess we both spent a lot of time missing and longing for one another. Yeah. That's mad gay, bro. Hey! It's like I'm wrong. Anyway, I'm going to take a shower, wash all this blood and sweat off. I won't be long. Alright, see you soon. Diego left the room and headed down the hallway to the shower as I reflected on the day that had been while sitting on the couch. A tie? Most unexpected, although when you think about it, probably for the best considering they buried the hatchet only minutes before the final began. I was glad they'd come to an understanding, glad that they'd apologized. All Diego's questions had been answered, and now he could truly move on once and for all. Ty? And Ty, I found myself forgiving him. Despite everything, his methods were certainly questionable, but the outcome couldn't have been better. So long as he kept his word, there would be no more tension between all of us, at least hopefully. I liked Ty, but sometimes, often, he overstepped. I heard the shower start down the other end of the house, and that gave me an idea of how I could repay Diego. Yeah, glad I hid this. Arriving at the door to the bathroom, I noticed Diego had left it slightly ajar. Perfect. I gave it a gentle push, causing the hinges to squeak slightly. Thankfully, the sound of the shower had drowned it out. I could see Diego facing away from me, standing lazily in the shower as the water ran down his body. Using the gap I'd created, I squeezed inside the bathroom and stepped towards the shower, slipping out of my clothes as I went. By the time I'd arrived at the glass door, I was already butt naked. I gently cracked the shower door open. Diego jumped slightly, turning around in surprise. Hey, what the... Shh, here, let me help. I mean, sure, but what's the occasion? I said I'd make it up to you, didn't I? Okay, I'm just going to, skip through this. I'm not even going to... I'm not even going to read it. Hey, shh. You've got the belt. Therefore, you definitely won, and it definitely wasn't a tie, okay? Definitely. Anyway, what do you think Ty has planned for this little celebration tomorrow? I don't suppose he mentioned anything. Not a thing. We're just going to have to find out. Him and his goddamned secrets. At least it's something good, right? I mean, I hope so. Yeah, I'll let him off. Still, what a day. I'm really proud of you. For all of it. You did amazingly. Diego yawned dramatically before he spoke, lazily slumped in bed with his head half buried into his pillow. I just can't believe it's over. The competition and the rest of it. It's kind of like, what do I do now? Anything you want. You could find a new hobby, save up for a car. Hell, now the kayak isn't a problem. You could even go back to the gym. You could take up swimming or running, take a leaf from Logan's book and get creative. You could learn painting or even write a book. What about your degree? You could try and find a career in your field. Start doing Diego? Diego? He'd fallen asleep. I suppose after such an arduous day, I could hardly blame him. Besides, he needed his rest for tomorrow's festivities. Tomorrow would be the first day of the rest of his life. The final words of this chapter had been written, and an entirely new chapter was about to begin. Good night, Diego. I love you. A small subconscious smile appears on Diego's lips as I snuggled up against him and closed my eyes, joining him in his blissful sleep. Okay. We're going to leave off here tonight. This already gone on a little longer than I think any of us would have liked. Yeah, gone on way longer than I think any of us would have liked. Yeah. It was interesting. It's very interesting. It was, and there's only one day left, I think. Yeah. Yeah, there's only one day left. So this is on my mind. Quick question. Tomorrow, early afternoon, around 3 p.m. or something, 3:30 or whatever, would y'all be opposed to me just live streaming development of To the Sky? Would y'all be opposed to that? Anyways, I don't think much else can be said, so... Okay. Yeah, it won't be, like, much. It'll be, like some, like, light changes, some new sprite art, but that's about it. Yeah, not much else can be said, so stay safe, have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.